Filmar makes my ass itch.
Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come.
Come on, who's the black sheep? What's the black sheep? Know not who I am or when I'm coming, so you sleep. Wasn't in my realm or wasn't in your sphere. Knew not who I was, but listen here. The choice is yours. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. I think you can get with this, because this is kind of fat.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Black Sheep Rising, your weekly dose of late night liberty, coming to you from Keene, New Hampshire. We are the Black Sheep, and we got some rowdy ones for sure on the show this evening. My name is Conan Soliday, and of course, Daryl W. Perry is here as well.
What's up?
And the Liberty Rapture.
Yes,
And
Rapture.
joining us for the first time on the panel is the blackest of black sheep. He is a black sheep of black sheep. It is none other than Christopher Cantwell.
.com.
I'm such a black sheep that I'm actually like white, like I'm glowing. I am just exuding my whiteness everywhere, and it causes people to assume that I'm a racist.
You, sir, are a racist.
Christopher Cantwell is also the host and creator of Some Garbage Podcast.
Why would you call my podcast garbage, bro?
Well, I mean, that's what it's called, right?
Yes, that is actually. I'm sorry, that is actually the name of my program. It is called Some Garbage Podcast.
Yes, and I got the Rapture Cantwell one loaded up, ready to listen, and I haven't gotten the opportunity to. I apologize, but I will be getting on that probably right after the show.
It's no big deal. It's just some garbage podcast. I don't know why you'd be so upset about it.
Yeah, I felt like bummed I didn't shout out to Black Sheep Rising because I'm like, well, is Conan pro Cantwell? Because Cantwell is like, there's just, and I wasn't sure if you were, so I didn't want to mention Black Sheep. So
That's
What-
like the
what
thing.
do you
Like
mean
everybody's got to like
pro-Cantwell?
figure that out. Like are you? Which side of this war are you on?
So is this like the Crips and the Bloods?
It's
Like
kinda.
pro
It's kinda-
Cantwell and the anti Cantwell?
yeah, it is. It's
well,
like
there hasn't been blood in the streets yet, but it sure sounds. If you read our Facebook posts, it sure sounds like
if
it might
words
be
could
coming down to
bleed,
that.
they would, and that would be very bloody.
If words could kill, I'd be
Yeah.
a mass murderer.
So Cantwell lives in Keene.
I do, sir.
You've been here for about a month, 2 months now.
I've been in Keene for about a month. Yeah, I had moved
Is
to New
he being
Hampshire.
detained? Does he have to answer this question?
No, of course he doesn't ask it, silly ass.
I'm not being detained. I still have my goddamn gun, even with this gin in my hand.
So I guess the big question right now is Cantwell is an activist. The question is, what type of activist is Chris, and can he rub shoulders with the peacenik type activists who are already here in Keene, been doing their things for years? And do you fit in?
That depends. Do the peace people consent to having their shoulders rubbed?
Exactly. I bet getting your shoulders rubbed is a good thing, right?
I'm not.
Especially
I'm
if she's cute.
I'm not rubbing any of the male shoulders across the street from me. I'm going to
Thank
tell you
you.
that right now. But I mean, I'm actually have a majority of the membership of the Keene Activist Center is actually rather fond of me, and for some reason the system is so set up that a minority can prevent someone from gaining membership into the organization, and so there's a little bit of controversy there. But I'm not surprised. I'm no stranger to controversy. That's sort of what I do for a living. And so I have to play politics, which is unfortunate because, I mean, I was involved in politics when I was in New York. I mean, I was involved in the Libertarian Party and Campaign for Liberty, and I ran for Congress. I did all these different things, and I thought that, like, hey, I'll go to New Hampshire, I'll hang out with anarchists, and then there won't be politics anymore.
Exactly.
And holy shit, was I wrong, boy. I got up here and it was even worse. I couldn't believe it. And now I'm like, I've got a whiteboard in my house. I'm whipping votes. I'm moving people from column A to column B. It's like the craziest fucking thing. I couldn't believe it.
Well, when you get more than one person together, and they're, of course, very outspoken types who have a definite goal, and you get another person who has a slightly different goal, you start butting heads. I mean,
Well, what happens is, I mean, it's not. theoretically, we all have the same goal, right? I mean, theoretically, we're aiming for
And that's the worst part.
stateless society.
We all want the same goal, but we just can't get there, and we all can't fit in the same station wagon to get to the damn vacation site.
Well, the people who can't are going to have to go, right? I mean, if you can't coexist, I mean, if I'm a big enough problem for you that you're willing to like leave Keene over it, then you probably better pack, because if you can't handle me, you can't handle the state. I mean, I'm so much less of a problem than the most powerful government in the history of mankind that presently wages literally more wars than I can fucking keep track of anymore. And your big problem is a blogger who lives across the street from you. I mean, if you can't hack it, if you can't handle that, then just get on with yourself and do something else, because you're not cut out for this.
Yeah, and just a note, I mean, yeah, you've never wronged anybody. I mean, Chris has never stolen from anybody. He's actually one of the most trustworthy, human beings, I guess, within the movement, or just in general. So it's funny that, something could be so serious where somebody actually hasn't even done harm to somebody. It's just based off of opinions on blogs and stuff.
Versus government employees in the city who are doing their evil deeds, every day. Those are the guys you should be putting all your energy into, not the guys who have the same goal in mind.
Sure.
And I see myself as a middleman because I am friends with both parties. And
same here.
I'm fucking like, what the hell do I do? I mean, who do I side with? I want both individuals to be a part of the movement. And I don't know what to do at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, people can be part of the movement from anywhere they want. I mean, somebody's going to say that they're going to leave town. I mean, they can still be a freaking Facebook slacktivist if they want, and I mean, theoretically, that's part of the movement. Keene, I'm pretty sure what we're talking about right now is the Keene Activist Center, and if the Keene Activist Center is a center for activists in Keene, I most certainly meet that definition. I live right across the street from the place. What I think some people have tried to do is turn the Keene Activist Center into their own little enclave where they're going to post anti-capitalist propaganda on the walls, and sort of just treat it as their own private domicile, and that's not what it is. I mean, it's a place for activists in Keene. It's a place for non-aggressionists, and apparently some people want to, change the standard of that, and that's not unique to Keene. I mean, that's happening throughout the liberty movement. I mean, that's what we see from people like Kathy Reisenwitz and Antonio Buehler, and really negative left-wing influences on libertarianism that are trying to pervert what this is about.
Otherwise, change the name of the building to to the clubhouse. Or
if you want to change it to the Keene Anti-Capitalist Center, then I'll gladly not join your organization. But last I checked, this was a place for people to fight the oppression of the state. And to gather together in order to do that. And if people want to exclude me from that, that's a really bad move for them because, frankly, I mean, I'm kind of a popular guy. I've been published on Lew Rockwell, Economic Policy Journal, the Dollar Vigilante, Cop Block up until pretty recently. And I mean, I'm pretty well known. I'm reaching hundreds of thousands of people. If your goal is to grow your movement, it would stand to reason that you would want to team up with people who are reaching millions or hundreds of thousands of people with their media. So I'm going to do this one way or the other, and anybody who wants to come along is more than welcome to. And the people who want to skip town, get the fuck out.
Speaking of hundreds of thousands of people, tell us about your new podcast, some garbage podcast or something or other. How's it been going?
Garbage podcast isn't all that new. I started doing this in New York with a business partner of mine by the name of Eddie Dunn. And Eddie and I were working together in this marketing company, and sort of at the end of the day, we'd sort of crack open a bottle and get to yelling at each other in the office because Eddie was like a Christian and a minarchist, and I'm of course an atheist anarchist, and so we'd get to talking rather vociferously about a number of topics, and I said we should slap a fucking camera on us, and so I spent a few $100
and join the enclaves of folks who are doing their own shout at each other podcasts.
There's more podcasts than there are fucking liberty activists.
Well, exactly, and this was also. I mean, the title of it came for a couple of reasons. That, like, for one, there are a number of podcasts out there that are not so well produced, shall we say, and like I thought it was like a fun way to like sort of make fun of other podcasts too. It's like we're just another garbage podcast, and also like we legitimately did have like some pretty serious audio problems, in the beginning of the program. I think that we had some environmental electrical problems and stuff like that. So we had ghosts in the machine and different things.
Yeah, I've been dealing with that the whole time. It's all in how the wires are crossing each other and what what outlets they're plugged into.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it could be fucking chaos in here.
Yeah, and I spent a whole bunch of money on on special power strips and ferrites and all these different things, and nothing solved
is a
it. But as
ferrite?
soon as I plugged it all in my basement in Keene, it all went away. A ferrite is a small magnetic thing that you clamp onto a wire that's supposed to stop EMI from traveling up the wire.
So it probably, I think it's one of the bigger problems that people have is ground looping, where whatever outlet they're plugged into, it just isn't grounded correctly, or there is some kind of disturbance in the line. And
Yeah.
sometimes you'll just have to bypass all that nonsense and go plug straight into your breaker box.
Yeah, I had ground loop filters on pretty much all of my connections. I think I've got like a half a dozen ground loop filters sitting around my apartment right now. Once I plugged them all in Keene, the problem had resolved itself. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I ran into all that crap, and then I think I just figured out the correct arrangement. I'm just going to stick with it, and hopefully nothing changes in here for, I don't know, 6 months or so. But so you're on, what, episode 12 now?
The next episode that I do will be episode 12. I haven't posted it yet, but I'll actually announce it on your program. The first anybody's hearing about it, Derek J. will be joining me
Excellent.
Next Thursday.
Excellent.
So, I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure it'll be fun because Derek and I have a good relationship.
Maybe you
and-
could carry forth the peace roundtable that happened last year at Keenvention.
I think that the use of force thing is getting a little old, frankly. Like, I know, like, everybody wants to talk to me about that because it's been the source of so much controversy, but my regular audience, I have to entertain them. I have to talk about different things. So, if there's a live event where people who don't necessarily, people who aren't necessarily familiar with me are buying tickets to, I'm happy to have those discussions. But on my own program, unless there's a new issue for me to talk about from that perspective, I don't generally tend to just debate the subject of use of force on my own platform.
Speaking of something that you're related to, there were 2 articles that came out in the last couple of weeks. One of them a pretty definite hit piece on contributors to Cop Block and pretty much labeling them as domestic terrorists. And of course, there was a rebuttal that came out, a couple days later or the day later. But you have run into pretty much the same
They're
exact
talking
situation.
about my articles is what this is about. This is about me. This is what they're responding to me.
So the original one is a Yahoo article written by some knucklehead named Sickles, who is specifically talking about the Vegas killings.
Yeah.
that took place recently. And this guy, he posted on Cop Block before he did his killings. Is this correct?
Well, the guy, Jared Miller, he had been posting anti-government stuff, talking about dying for freedom. I mean, he had said a lot of things on Facebook prior to going out and shooting up a couple of cops in a Cece's Pizza. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he had been doing this for some period of time. He may have been, I think he may have liked Cop Block. He may or may not have shared some of their stuff. But what this article is primarily focusing on is an article that I wrote, which was titled "Dead Men Don't Start Revolutions," where I started the article out with the good news is 2 cops are dead, and everybody just ran with that quote. Unfortunately, people have terribly short attention spans, and while that drives a great deal of traffic to a website, it doesn't always promote the most productive of discussions because people are not reading what they're talking about.
Yeah, they're just reading the headline and they're not reading any of the context.
Right. And that's fine. I mean, look, they're still putting advertising revenue in my pocket. I'm really happy that they do that. But the the fact of the matter is that, I write things that if you read them, are thought-provoking and interesting. And if you just say, hey, I want to demonize somebody, well, there it is. Go ahead and do it. I mean, if you want to talk about me and drive traffic to my website, that's fine. You want to call me a domestic terrorist, I'm not really too terribly concerned about
So that specific
Hold on. Would you say that you're clickbaiting? Post it for people that aren't familiar with the term. It's where you post the fuck. I said clickbaiting, not masturbating. You weird fuck. It's where you have a controversial sounding headline that is designed to get people to click on it.
I mean, if you're asking me if I want people to visit my website, the answer is yes.
Sure.
No, that's not the question because everybody that runs a website wants people to visit their website. My question is, are you creating controversial headlines for the expressed intent of trying to get more people to click on it, and then knowing that people aren't going to actually read the entire article?
Well, I would like to think that people are going to read the article. I'm fully aware that America is full of retards with short attention spans who don't fucking do what they're supposed to do. There's nothing that I can do about whether or not people are going to have the attention span to read a 2,000-word essay. You know, I'm going to make a headline that makes the reader want to read the article, right? So
Definitely.
people like demonize that. They're like, you're traffic whoring, you're clickbaiting. No, I'm in the business of spreading ideas. In order to do that, I need people to listen to what I say. And if you put boring headlines out there and you create boring content, then let's not be surprised if you're a complete fucking failure at what you do. And a lot of people are. There's a million libertarians out there putting out garbage shit content. It's not fucking interesting. They don't even try to put a good title on it, for Christ's sake. And then they're like, why don't I get any viewers to my website? The state is so oppressive that people don't even care about what I'm saying. No, you're a fucking boring content creator. Do something interesting, and people will read what you have to say. Now, they might have short attention spans, they might take shit out of context, but, you know, hey, welcome to politics, asshole. Do you think that this is not how this was going to happen? You are spreading a message of liberty which is inherently anti-government. Did you think that people were not going to distort that?
Good point.
Yeah. Can you say that like a little louder? I don't think the mic caught that. I didn't pick up.
I moved the
No,
mic
go ahead.
away from me a little bit further when I did that.
No, I just,
All right, so your original article about it's time to start a revolution.
No, that's not what I said. Maybe you should read the article. Speaking of people who haven't fucking know what they're talking about. So the title of the article was "Dead Men Don't Start Revolutions," right? And the actual moral of the story
Deaf
is
motherfuckers don't hear what Chris has to say.
Well, yeah.
what?
I won't deny it.
So the title of the article is "Dead Men Don't Start Revolutions," and the moral
Don't.
of the story was
Do not.
don't go out and get yourself fucking killed on the streets of Las Vegas for the sake of shooting up a CC's Pizza, because if you're ready to die for the cause, maybe you want to do something with yourself, you know? Maybe you could do a little bit more than die for the cause. Maybe you could dedicate your life to the cause. Maybe you could, I don't know, leave your friends and family and career and pets and move to New Hampshire and buy a fucking house across the street from a bunch of guys you don't like you and try to improve the world that you live in. I mean, there's things that you can do other than get yourself fucking, corner yourself in a Walmart and have your girlfriend shoot you in the face on a really shoddy video that, is frankly questionable.
Excellent point.
Yeah.
All right, so
Exactly.
exactly. So this guy posted to Copblock his message.
I did.
Yeah, this guy did as well, according to this article.
No,
According to
this article just says that he was one of their 780,000 fans.
Oh, I thought it actually said that he posted, but and whether or not it did, it got pulled because it's not there any longer. Cantwell also posted to Copblock. His shit did get pulled, and his privileges as an admin got pulled as well.
Yeah, I want to scroll down a little bit because I want to read something here because I'm really upset. And you know what? I would have let this slide a little bit more. Hang on a second. So Pete said something on this article that sort of upset me. So one of his friends had actually liked.
F.
He only
You
has
can
he only has
type it.
one hand.
Search for Pete's last name because I think that if I'm right, okay. Copblock co-founder Pete Eyre told Yahoo News the Facebook entry celebrating the Miller's rampage wasn't appropriate. There was a blanket rejoicing over the deaths of two people, and I don't think that's good in any situation, Eyre said. That's probably accurate. Pete doesn't agree with me. That's fine. It didn't fit Copblock ideology. The site's not an anti-police thing. It's more of a pro-personal empowerment thing. Now, first of all, bull fucking shit, okay? Pete, Copblock is anti-cop. That's what it is. And you know what? Adamo had contacted me previously. I wrote the article, There's No Such Thing as a Good Cop, at Adamo's request. Adamo asked me to write that article. When I wrote these articles, Pete wasn't too happy about it. And Adamo tweeted, gotta be PC, otherwise the slaves won't like Copblock. There are different people involved in Copblock for different reasons, but understand something. It's anti-state.
Yeah.
Okay? It's run by anarchists.
And by the way, it's the likes. Facebook likes are over 800,000 at the moment.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge. And you know, when I saw the negative feedback to Dead Men Don't Start Revolutions, I contacted Pete and I contacted Ademo and I said, look, there's getting a lot of negative feedback on this. Do you want me to pull the post? If you want to, pull it. You know, I'm not even going to give you guys a hard time. I understand you've got a good thing going on here. And they came back with a woman going by the name of Georgia Sand, came back and told me that this was a violation of the non-aggression principle and that the only time that you can use defensive force is when there's an immediate threat. Now, me and Larkin Rose have also already addressed the immediate threat standard a million times. That's completely ridiculous because, according to the non-aggression principle, they're saying that you can't, use force against someone unless they're like immediately, right now, a threat to your safety, which is bullshit because if somebody decides to, I don't know, hire an assassin to kill me, right? And am I only justified in dealing with the assassin when the assassin shows up at my door and the assassin picks up a sniper rifle and, is off somewhere else and I'm just supposed to sort of ignore that there's a man hiring hitmen to kill me? No, that's ridiculous. And so this launched into them. He said that Ear said the Vegas entry was put up by a former volunteer who still had administrative access. That's a lie. It's not true. I'm a former volunteer now, but at the time, I was not a former volunteer. I had access to the page. I had an author account on copblock.org, and he decided to act like this was some kind of fucking technical mistake, and I'm really upset about it. And Pete, if you're listening, I like you. You're a good guy, but the way that was handled was really inappropriate to slander me as an advocate of initiatory force and to tell the media that, this was some fuck-up is not accurate.
Well, and it could be a thing, and I'm not defending Yahoo necessarily, but I know how media sometimes doesn't accurately report things. So it could have been a misreporting of what was said.
But what was said, had Pete's fucking name signed to it on copblock.org was, Copblock is committed to the non-aggression principle, which was fucking bullshit because if the non-aggression principle is your standard, then I'm an adherent to that. And if you're slandering me as somebody who advocates the initiation of force, then that's about the worst thing that you can say to me, frankly. I think that's the worst thing. I'd rather be called a racist. I think it's the worst thing that you can say to a person is to label them an advocate or actor of initiatory force. And I'm really upset about it. And I like Pete. I want to be Pete's friend, but this really upset me. And when seeing this article upset me more because it would seem to me that, this is continuing. And look, this is an opportunity to have an honest conversation here, right? Police are violent, dangerous criminals. They are a threat to our safety. Mm-hmm. They kill people. They kidnap people. They are armed robbers. They are marauders that go around and they are the biggest threat to all of our safety, and they harm people every single day. And they are paid very well to do it. And they're not doing it for any kind of noble cause to protect and serve because, as we've heard, they have no duty to protect us. They're doing it for a paycheck and a pension and a sick fucking dental plan, and they're violent, dangerous criminals who are harming people for money. And that's how they deserve to be treated. And Copblock had the opportunity to say that to Yahoo News. Copblock had the opportunity to say that to the Huffington Post and how many different outlets. And what they said was, no. We're about police accountability and blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. Fucked up.
Yeah, paid very well and put on a pedestal at the same time. And most people don't get it. Some people, however, are waking up to the idea, 800,000 at least, are waking up to the ideas that, no, it's bullshit. And
no, they're not waking up to the idea that it's bullshit. What most of these people think on the Copblock Facebook page, and I'm happy to have them thinking just this much, don't get me wrong. Most of them actually think that this is just a police accountability project, that they're just there to point out when the police break the law, okay? When the police exceed their lawful authority. Mm-hmm. Fuck their lawful authority. I don't care if they're kidnapping people because a politician told them to or because they just wanted to fucking rape a kid. It's not an okay thing to go out and kidnap people, and I don't care what your excuse is. And that's what I would like for people to understand. And that's why I'll tell you what, I would rather have 10 radicals than 10,000 people who just wanted to hold police to their laws. I would rather have 10 radicals than 100,000 people who wanted to legalize marijuana. We need to get to the bottom of this thing and solve this fucking problem, people. If people don't understand that the government is a threat to their safety, that it is an unnecessary evil, that it is just plain evil, then we can solve this problem. And we can do that with a relatively small minority. But as long as people think that they're just going to tinker around the fucking edges a little bit, well, then don't be surprised if we all die as slaves and raise our children that way. And that's fucking sick, and it needs to stop.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, you're absolutely right. The majority of likes on the Cop Block Facebook are just the types that you described. You know, they're tinkering, they're minarchists. They're trying to fix the problem.
Well, a lot of them aren't even minarchists. A lot of these people are liberals. They're like, yeah, raise taxes and stop police brutality that way. Like, give more money to the government, and all of a sudden they'll stop beating the shit out of us. No, it's not how it works. They're paid to fuck your ass up. If you give them more money, guess what? They'll do it more frequently.
I'm sure there's a large handful, at least, who are coming from your background, our background, which is no. It's tinkering.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
Tinkering is not going to fix it. Let's just end it all, plain and simple.
Exactly. But the thing, so I thought of it as an opportunity when I was writing for Cop Block. I thought of it as an opportunity to push it in that other direction, right? To push, to radicalize these people, to get away from, no, they're not, this is not a matter of trying to get them to only kidnap you when the state legislature told them to. No, they're a violent, dangerous threat to your safety, and you should treat them that way. And that's what I was trying to push it to. Now, look, I understand that they've got a big thing going there, that it's worth protecting, and that they might need to disassociate themselves from stuff. And I gave them the opportunity to do that quietly. Unfortunately, Pete made the choice to shitmouth me publicly, and I'm really upset about that part. If not for that, I wouldn't be doing this right now.
So, good point. So, do you think that being too radical will actually push people away? And so there is a good message that Cop Block, it's a very good message that Cop Block is spreading. If people get on there and are too radical, you might lose half of your audience because of that. And so
I'd say that's terribly unlikely, because it's actually turned out to be one of the most popular posts that Cop Block ever made. So, that, and of course Larkin Rose's "When Should You Shoot a Cop" is the all-time most popular article on copblock.org. And if you remember, Larkin's answer was to the question, when should you shoot a cop?
Yeah.
Larkin's answer was, when those violently victimizing the innocent or wearing badges become a cop killer. Well, that's happening now. That's actually been happening for like a really long time. For as long as we've had the word police, they've been violently victimizing innocent people. So that's the most popular article that they've ever had. So I would say that there's a huge, huge demand for this content. And the fact that a couple of people freak out about it, even if it's hundreds or even thousands of people who freak out about it, the fact of the matter is, this is some of the most popular stuff out there. I'm one of the most popular libertarian websites on planet Earth, my friend, and I do not mince words. So this would tell me that all of this stuffing of the market with politically correct crap and pacifist garbage and things that are trying to skew the non-aggression principle as to some message of pacifism or egalitarianism or leftist bullshit is not what people want, because there's a million of these websites. Alliance of the Libertarian Left, Center for a Stateless Society, Kathy Riesenwitz, Sex and the State. There's millions of these people out there who are trying to do these things, and they're all failing, and I'm succeeding. So, what does that tell you about how people feel about these things? I'm turning moderates into radicals, and I hope to turn radicals into movers. And, if we can get a large number of radicals here, we can solve this fucking problem, and we can prevent New Hampshire from turning into New York. Because if New Hampshire turns into New York, motherfuckers, we got nowhere else to go. There's not a whole lot left in this world if you want freedom.
Yeah, and you're right. You should stand on principle at the end of the day. Your principle shouldn't be shaped around what's going to be popular opinion. When you believe in these ideals such as liberty, stick to these guns. Don't morph into what's going to be the popular thing, because then you're just pandering to whatever the silent majority or whatever these entities are that, no, it shouldn't be based on popular opinion. You believe in certain things, stand on them. Don't be afraid. And I see various people, especially people, and it's a tricky area. People that have very, like in media and whatnot, that have something to lose, or and there's certain incentives. There's reasons for them to maybe pander, and maybe financial, maybe advertisers, whatnot. And there's reasons why they kind of cave, but I think it's very, very heroic or altruistic to really stand your ground on that, even though you may lose that potential. You either believe in something or you don't. There's no middleman. There's no morphing. Just stand on what you believe. I don't know. As far as trying to meet the middleman, that's when everything goes to shit. When
And-
you start meeting people halfway. I mean,
And the thing is, like, look, I mean, if you believe in a thing and then you say something else, I mean, that's going to wear on your own conscience too, right? I mean, I don't have the capacity to fucking lie to people anymore. Okay, I was a drug dealer in New York. I was a bad guy, not like an agorist, ideological. Hey, we're fighting the system drug dealer. No, I was a nefarious scumbag who fucking robbed people and did bad things.
Cocaine and hookers, my friend.
And so it took a lot of adversity in my life to sort of, see that was not the path to take. But I did, realize that the government was complete bullshit, in the course of doing all of that. And I decided, hey, life is a lot easier when you tell the truth. And so I just say exactly what the fuck I'm thinking. I just go ahead and do what exactly it is that I think that I should be doing. And look, I meet a certain amount of adversity for that. But the truth of the matter is that I don't think most people in this world have more than 4 or 5 actual friends. I've got a lot of people who really like me a lot, and I am trying to get to know a lot of them. But I've got plenty more than 4 or 5 friends in this world, which means I'm doing a lot better than a lot of other people. And for a living, I'm doing what I love to do. And so I would say that if you stand on principle,
hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
what I'm saying, like seriously, I mean, if your goal is to be happy and have good relationships with people, then standing on principle actually does a pretty good job of that. And I'm a shining fucking example of it. And I hate to brag, but
wish more people did that. At the end of the day. So all right. So as far as Cop Block, good website. Go visit it. Lots of We've scrolled through a 24-hour block on Cop Block, and it's just we couldn't get to the end of it. Are there other good hangouts like the Brutalist? Are there other? I mean, where would radicals go to get the information that they need that they're not going to get from Cop Block because they're too pussy over there?
I'm afraid that the only outlet left is ChristopherCantwell.com. There was we had the Libertarian Brutalism Facebook group was recently banned from Facebook, which was really obscene. I've got a video out on that. You can see that on my website.
How does a group get banned from Facebook?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, actually, as it turns out, because
this was, a secret group, right?
No, it was closed, but it wasn't secret. Anybody
Okay.
could join the group, but, you had to have admin approval, but we approved everybody. We would not allow you, if any of you at home have ever been, added to a Facebook group without your permission, I know how annoying that is. We didn't allow that, so if I saw that somebody added people to the group, I just ignored their request. The only rules of the group were don't block the admins. Pretty much other than that, you could do whatever you want. Some, obvious automated spam we banned and whatnot. But for the most part, I said, look, if it's not good content, then just post better content and it'll sink to the bottom. If you comment on it, it'll drive to the top.
Yeah.
And just ignore the stuff you don't like or block the people that you don't want to hear from. And so the entire group was more than 4,000 people. It was over 4,050 people the last I checked. And they banned the entire group of more than 4,000 people. And why? Because a bunch of politically correct libertarians, this is not Republicans, Democrats, liberals, and conservatives doing to this to us. This is other libertarians, and they're bragging about it. George Giancopoulos, Antonio Buehler, all his little shithead friends, they decided that they had to run us off of Facebook by snitching on us, by reporting us to Facebook. Now, the Brutalist Libertarian is a Facebook page, right? And only the admins can post content through the page. That's what you're looking at now. And so this still exists, but the group was a place where anybody could post, right? So for the postings of a few people, they banned 4,000.
All right, so you have a bad habit of getting kicked off of Facebook. Your particular.
I think Facebook has a bad habit of kicking me off.
no, I'm serious. That's a better way of putting
Sorry,
it.
yeah, exactly,
definitely.
exactly. You spoke recently, just recently, about maybe giving it up.
So I am not leaving Facebook. The fact of the matter is that
I'm not leaving Facebook. Facebook is leaving me.
70% of my web traffic comes from Facebook, and I'd be a fool to just ignore that. But part of the reason so much of my web traffic comes from Facebook is largely that's where I made my name for myself. I have a very large audience on Facebook. It exceeds 20,000 people, and it was a very valuable resource to me. But maintaining my personal connections through this thing, talking to people like it's a text message. It gets really stupid. I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to be trying to drive up my clout score. I'm not going to be posting status updates and pictures and sharing memes and shit like that. I am going to, if I have something worth saying, maybe I'll say it, maybe I won't. I will post my articles there. You'll still find ChristopherCantwell.com content on Facebook, but I would strongly suggest that you go to ChristopherCantwell.com/subscribe and subscribe to my email list, because I'm fucking done with this bullshit. That I've got this situation where there's a bunch of PC left libertarian assholes who report every single thing that I post. They do it every single day, whether it violates Facebook terms or not. And Facebook is just like, hey, there's a certain number of reports. Fuck this guy. Yeah. The last thing I got banned for was I posted a meme from A Voice for Men. And A Voice for Men is a men's rights movement publication that I'm an author for. And the idea behind it was, you talk about the
men's... Is it like Jezebel for men?
No, because Jezebel is garbage, and A Voice for Men is real content. But you could say it's a response to feminist outlets like Jezebel or Exojane or whatever, right? So they posted a meme to their Facebook page that said, it was like a picture of because you talk about the men's rights movement, and people say like, well, what issues could men possibly have? Men run the world. It's a patriarchy, don't you know?
Jesus Christ.
So look, I mean, men have some like serious issues in this world, and we're really treated very poorly by the government in comparison to women. And so
especially white men.
Oh, especially white men. I mean, that's like one of the worst things. You are a white male gun owner in America. I mean, you might as well join the fucking Klan at this point, right? So I posted this meme that's just a picture of a pretty girl and, in her perfect hair and makeup with her shopping bags. It says, well, what issues could men possibly have? And then underneath that, it's a pile of dead bodies that says, and then it's a pile of dead bodies and it says, how about mass murder, Buttercup? Because as it turns out, I mean, you talk about, men's issues. Well, one of those serious issues for men is that we're like the vast majority of war casualties, even as non-combatants. Because even as non-combatants, I mean, soldiers don't generally mistake women for combatants, right? I mean, there's casualties that happen. I mean, bombs go off indiscriminately, kill people and stuff like that. But when guys come through your neighborhood with machine guns and start killing everybody who might oppose them, women and children are generally not the first people they go for. They kill all the men.
Unless it's the Israeli army, and then they just shoot mortars into people's houses, or onto the beach and kill 4 little children building sandcastles.
Yeah, those are the indiscriminate bombs that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, look, the United States...
that wasn't indiscriminate. That was fucking intentional.
Well, the United States does plenty of fucking bombings that kill lots of women and children too, and I'm not no fan of the state of Israel. But the point more being that when even as non-combatants, men are the vast majority of war casualties.
Right.
So people, the feminists act as if the world is just built in such a fashion as to benefit men at the expense of women. Well, as I said in a video that's on my website, Feminist Conspiracy Theories. I mean, if you think that there's some patriarchy, that there's some system that's just universally oppressing women at the for the benefit of men, well, I think that system would be like a pretty tragic failure when men are the vast majority of homelessness, when men are the vast majority of drug addiction, when men actually are raped more frequently than women, when you take prison into account, when we're 90% of the prison population, when we're the vast majority of war casualties. I mean, so many things. I mean, could you imagine like a woman getting kicked in the crotch on television and like a laugh track running over that, right? Like that wouldn't happen. And everybody would be outraged if it did, but like a guy gets kicked in the balls, it's just like totally normal and acceptable. You call a woman a cunt, it's a big fucking problem, and if you call a man a dick, everybody's just like, hey, he has one between his legs.
Yeah, I'm just going to get real here on the show from here on out.
Absolutely.
Except in Europe, you can use the word cunt very freely. Although it's fucked up in many other ways, but that's a good way in Europe, right?
Yeah, in Europe you can do it. But in America, these feminists and... Yes, I like this meme on here. There's a picture of a very large woman who says feminist before, and then apparently she is
describe her as very large.
Well, I mean,
she's not skinny.
She's large in my standards,
but she's not very very large. Would be like the 700-pound woman that can't walk through her fucking front door.
Well,
it's-
look, I mean,
She's one city. Like she's not.
I mean, she's not an entire fucking continent, but like, I'm just saying that. Look, this bitch is fat, right? Is really what I meant to say. There's a fat bitch, all right. I didn't mean to say very large woman. I meant to say fat bitch. So there's a fat bitch, and then next to her is a really hot chick that says no longer feminist. And so, that's kind of it, right? Like a woman is, hey, like, I don't like the way that I'm treated because I'm an obese, disgusting pig. And then she's like, hey, I'm a hot chick and people give me money for being a fucking hot chick. Yeah, I think I'm no longer with this bullshit.
Yeah, this is true. This is absolutely true.
I want to be exploited because it pays better now.
So, do you recommend this page at least? I just found it. I've heard about it for a couple of weeks now, and I like it.
The Brutalist Libertarian is great, and I mean, like, there's some guys, and I don't run this. Like, some guys, I think the Libertarian Brutalism thing was so great because it just created this like keyword that people created like this open source community around, and excuse me. So this was This is a page run by some friends of mine. I do have admin access to it, so I do publish my works through it. But they're posting all the time, and they're fucking great, man.
Yeah, I've pretty much liked everything I've seen so far that was posted today. I'll definitely keep my eyes on it.
Social justice advocate commits suicide over white guilt. Oh my God. Oh, I have to. I'm gonna not right now. I'll look at that one.
But that's a real thing, though. I mean, when you run across someone who just suffers from it, from the white guilt syndrome, I guess you don't see it a lot here in New England. But coming from the South, I ran into these guys all the time, especially people who lived up north. I'm from Florida. You got lots of New Englanders moving down to Florida, and you're surrounded by these guys who are just like, "Oh my God, we caused all this."
Oh,
Which I guess, when you consider government, which is pretty much run by white people. But a lot of minorities vote for those. I don't know how it works, but yeah, you get these people in the South all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from New York, dude, and I mean, liberalism just runs rampant, and they are a gang of self-loathing white males that just like, oh, if only I wasn't a white male, then I wouldn't be oppressing these women and minorities. And I'm like, go fucking fuck yourself, you fucking asshole. Do something with yourself. They buy into this crap, and I mean, it's every bit as bad, really, as like what we used to. And I mean, not that it doesn't still exist to some extent, but like that people would say demonize homosexuality, right? And I just feel like they're just done the same thing to being a white male. It's just like, you have to stop being this, and you're like, but I can't. Oh.
Do you think this really comes from their heart, or is it a selling point? Is a politician's selling point?
They're fucking raised in public schools, man. I mean, it's propaganda. They're fed it their entire goddamn lives by the public schools and the mainstream media, and then the thing is that like they get to thinking that this is like a good way to get laid, right? Especially men, right? Like, men will do just about anything for sexual access to women, let's face it, right? And so they see, like, these prominent feminist propagandists, like, fucking Lacey Green. You guys ever seen this crazy bitch?
Yeah.
Lacey
Related to
Green?
AC Green at all?
No.
Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't fuck her with your dick and rapture pushing, and it's not because she's not hot. It's because she'd accuse you of fucking rape afterwards. This crazy bitch. She makes a video called Consent 101, and she goes into this whole thing about like all these different things that she thinks are rape, right? Which none of them include like punching you in the face and fucking you without your permission, right? She says if she's too drunk to drive, she's too drunk to say yes. Well,
yeah, it doesn't go the other way though, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? So if I'm too drunk to drive and you suck my cock, like, are you going to go to prison after? You're going to turn? No, you're not.
So she's not even speaking about equality. She's talking about actually,
Fucking when does any feminist want equality? It's not what it was ever about.
That's what I'm saying, and that's where, I agree with what you're saying. And the funny thing, in feminism in its inception, I agree with the philosophy, the inception of it.
You agree with anti-capitalism? Because that's what
No.
that's
what I'm going to get to. That's what, I mean, it's become nothing more than like another arm of government, and it's just, it's really gotten ridiculous. But in its inception, when you're talking about just equality and whatnot, it's gone so far above and beyond. But yeah, this notion of whether you believe or not, various sex roles and whatnot. I mean, these things have always annoyed me, like a lot of the flaws that you see in men and women today are just these notions of upbringing. And I think I was telling you that my biggest annoyance, like when I'd play poker, and this would happen like once a week, there would be, a gal sitting at the table, and this would happen so regularly, and someone would cuss the table, and someone would always say, "Don't cuss, there's a lady present." And I swear, and they would get me.
Fuck that whore.
And everybody would look at me every time, the regulars I would play.
Needs to be censored.
Because they knew how much that would fucking piss me off. I'd be like, oh my God, dude. Like, I'm like, if I was a chick, I'd be fucking pissed. Just not necessarily pissed, but it's just like, it's just nuts. It's just that 1950-esque type bullshit. This notion of like opening up the door and this and that, and and that's cool. Like, I'll open up a door because you're my friend and this, but just the notion that
I'll open a door for another person just to fucking be nice.
Sure, yeah, and I may for a gal or whatever the fuck you want to call it, but but it's just that. But the notion, to me, that's offensive almost, like, and that's where I agree with feminists, where that is offensive, where it's kind of like, oh, this person is this exceptional person that gets the fucking door open. It's like, fuck you. That's an equal person. They could open up their own fucking door. It's like.
So are you gonna fucking pull the door shut because somebody's behind you? You can open the door yourself, asshole. And then you just slam it shut.
I may open it, I may not. It has nothing to do with
if you're walking through the door and you see somebody behind you or in front of you walking towards you, are you gonna slam the fucking door shut?
Only if it's abroad.
To make them open it instead of just holding it for half a fucking second.
Only if it's you, Daryl.
Yeah.
But I actually no. So like I actually disagree with what you're saying here. And as a matter of fact, most MRAs, men's rights advocates, would actually probably disagree with me on this, right? So like I had posted an article to A Voice for Men, and they made me edit it to publish it because I talked about like men in their predisposition to stand between a woman and a violent threat, right? So I do believe that there are gender roles in this world. Like, I believe that it's like, I believe in, chivalry to some extent. I like, the idea of opening up doors for women. I don't believe in, like, censoring my speech for them. You're off camera. Sorry, microphone.
I was trying to do that without.
And I'm like, hey, I've got a glass of gin. Why don't you just do this? But
chivalry. It's real.
Yeah, so like I think, look, men and women are not equals, right? We are puzzle pieces, right? No two puzzle pieces are exactly the same on the same puzzle. They've got different things printed on them. They're shaped differently, and together we build the picture, right? We can't complete the society without them. And when people are just trying to turn all the puzzle pieces square, then the puzzle's not much fun. And I really do think that it's a sweet thing to.
Well, the puzzle is fun if you're an idiot and you have to figure out what the picture looks like.
Well, it becomes a Rubik's Cube, and those things suck.
Yeah.
Fuck a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, puzzles are fun.
That would be very painful, and I think I actually saw an X-ray where somebody had one of those shoved up inside of somewhere.
I saw a thing where a guy sat on a jar and it broke apart in his asshole, and anyway. So, but
that needs to be censored.
But no, I think opening doors for women, I think, is something that men should do. They don't have to. I think that I don't think that we should necessarily censor ourselves in front of them, but like we do anyway, right? Like we don't. Like I'm a guy who would like to like portray himself as somebody who just says whatever comes to mind. But like, let's just face it: when I see attractive women, things go through my mind that I'm not saying, right? And
maybe, but don't you want to connect with the chick that doesn't give a fuck what you're saying? I mean, that's the chick who you're going to connect with. No,
because I'll tell you what. Like, look, I mean, like, I see attractive women, and I'm like, I'd really like to come in her mouth, and like, I can't say that to a stranger, right? Like, you can't do that.
I'm not talking about that,
but it might wind up getting you pepper sprayed.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I have a gun, so that'd be a really bad move on her part because that'd be initiation of force.
While you're blinded is not very smart.
But she's close range. I mean, I can just I can hit her with it, She's a
goddamn succubus.
But like I do think I really think it's like I think that men are supposed to be providers and I think they're supposed to be protectors. And I think that's a really proper gender role for men. And I mean it makes a lot of sense. We have 40% more upper body mass. We're generally you guys know about like gender and IQ. Is this a familiar subject to you? Women on average have higher IQs than men, but do you know why that is?
Because they're not focused, because all their brain cells aren't in the tip of their dick.
Well, that probably
Or
plays
half of
some
them at
portion
least?
of a role in it. But actually, if you think about it, so what actually happens if you look at IQ scores between men and women, most men are actually fucking retards, right? We're fucking stupid fucks. But
We're like that. Weird.
men, me and my collectivist gender baiting. But so
Masturbating.
I'm new.
so men on average actually have really low IQs, and women on average are higher than them. But all of your geniuses in the world, all your Nobel laureates, all your really brilliant inventors, they're all men.
And skyscraper builders.
Yeah, all your architects and engineers and shit, they're all men, right? Why? Because we have the highest, the off the charts skyrocketing IQs are men. So it makes sense if you think about it that you've sort of got like your worker drones, right? And then you've got your sort of support staff, and then you've got your planners and your organizers and stuff like that. And, look, we're not the first species to have, anything like this. Like you see this in the wild. Everybody ever watch like Meerkat Manor?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Meerkat Manor is really interesting.
I've seen ants work, and then I've also seen the cartoon ant. So yeah, like I know.
Is the higher IQ, can it be equated to the fact that they're more likely to go to school or higher education, or is it because they have a higher IQ that they're more likely to go to school?
I think the fact that academia is such a that it targets women and minorities probably has more to do with
By the way, I was going to say earlier, I don't know where I saw it, but this week I saw some very interesting charts, and one of them was the longer you spend in academia, the more likely you are to traverse from conservative to liberal. I mean, it's just,
sure, and
it's like a 10% jump.
Yeah, we've discussed this before. This notion, and I believe it's in the environmental upbringing, and I think it's some of the just the false notions that women or men or whatever are forced to pretty much grow up with, and I think women are limited as far as they're raised with this notion. They're the supporters, this and that. They buy into they're more likely, in my observation, to buy into the system because that's kind of the role they're given from the time they're born to trust in this crap.
A
They entrust in school.
Means,
Yeah,
like,
He's rapping.
Rapture it up, Rapture.
So women, I think generally will entrust in school, and they will buy into the system more because that's what they're fed. They're just supporting roles generally. That's the way society unfortunately breeds them. I think that's wrong, but yeah,
Fuck society.
yeah.
That's how you make
Society's
more
important.
society.
Fuck it.
Exactly. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun making society. I have fun anyways.
Oh, I'm gonna go make a whole fucking society all over my bathroom walls when I get home.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you've been watching a very lively episode of Black Sheep Rising, and you can visit the archives, get links to the show notes and the whole nine at blacksheeprising.org. You can get the audio there as well. You can also visit us and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher. If you want to leave a message with me, you can either go to the Facebook page. Please fucking like it, you assholes. Or you can leave me a email at show@blacksheeprising.org or a voicemail at 267-521-2771.
Come on, Stephen Hawking. We know you fucking watch. You called us before. Call us again, you motherfucker.
Cantwell, you got so many websites. I know you do.
Just to ChristopherCantwell.com, you'll find out everything you need to know about me. ChristopherCantwell.com, the one and only, the last hope for libertarianism and freedom and sanity.
Absolutely outstanding. Got to check that. It's a garbage podcast out.
Some garbage podcast.
Daryl, thanks for being on.
Yep.
Rapture,
Hey, thank you, man.
you guys were kind of overshadowed by this guy over here. He's got the fucking. He's got the
Yeah,
lung.
we didn't
He's
cover
got-
any of the fucking shit I wanted to talk about.
He's got the lungs.
and
he's got
we,
the
we
shadow.
didn't get to my favorite part of the thing. We did not get to this.
We'll do it in the after show if these people want to hang out.
Oh, you want to talk about fucking female Thor? Well, I could have fucking occupied a goddamn hour and a half on that myself, but
We're gonna close on an old song. It's by the Smashing Pumpkins. This is a song.
Smashing Pumpkins is fun.
This is a song I remember listening to when I was
Cherub Rock?
a young guy.
you ain't
it's
got
called-
to go home, but you can't
Oh,
stay
Bullet
here. Get the
Butterfly
fuck
It's
out,
called Bullet with
creepitarians.
Butterfly Wings. It's pretty good.
Oh,
I'm not gonna
fuck
be able
yeah.
to. I'm not gonna be able to play the video on my edit of Black Sheep Rising because fucking Vevo or whatever the however you fucking
Vivo.
pronounce it.
It's Vevois. It's French.
YouTube will flag me if I play this on my edit, but I'll leave you the link so you can go watch it. It's pretty neat looking. Guys at home and the guys listening, thank you. We'll see you next week at the same time.
That was sexist that you didn't even mention the women. You're a misogynist.
Yeah. What he said.
Good night.
Rising After Show.
No, don't fucking play a video. Come on, you have four talented
I know.
people on a stage here. Somebody tell the fucking story for the audience, and then we'll talk about it.
Story.
It's your fucking bastard son, isn't it?
All right, so it's
Let's just do the fucking what did you learn thing.
Didn't this
and
happen from the
fucking be done.
child
No,
that
let's
you
do
had
Thor.
with that prostitute or something?
this is your bastard kid. We can do this.
Let's just do what the fuck did you learn.
No, let's do Thor. No, we need to do Thor
All right.
because we got Cantwell on here, and he's going to blow this out of proportion.
I don't blow things out of proportion. I blow fucking bullshit out of the water.
Blows reality into proportion.
Thank you.
A good dose of it.
This doesn't even have a fucking quote from the dude that wrote it, you son of a bitch.
Well, Google your brother's name or your son's name or whoever it is.
Bill Maher makes my ass itch.
Ooh, they've already got figurines.
Oh my god! So like, you
So
guys,
it's real.
You guys all come from goofy areas, but don't the animals here, the creatures here, are total assholes. At least compared to where I'm from. Like the mosquitoes and the flies, like all the creatures here, like where I'm from, I don't know, they aren't like assholes like they are here. Like here, I'm like an African
From
child.
Florida, dude. They fucking will pick you up and fly you away to an island and fucking make babies.
I'm walking down to Hannaford, like I said, and these flying beetle things are bounced off my head like an African child the other day. Like they just swarm me. Like I'm thinking.
All right, we're not fucking talking about African children.
We've
biting
had
you
shows.
On your penis.
We've actually had
if you want to
shows.
fuck African children, you just go to Africa and do it because I think it's legal there. But don't do it here.
We've had shows where that window has been wide open with no screen and no bugs have flown in. I don't know what bugs.
No,
you're
I'm just
talking
saying
about.
whatever bugs exist, like the mosquitoes here, they're like on crack compared to like the mosquitoes
You're
where
on
I'm from.
crack.
The mosquitoes where I'm from, they don't fucking.
There's no water where you're from.
They don't
You're
suck.
from the desert.
The ones here, the mosquitoes here are like chupacabras. Like they like suck the fuck out of you. I look like I have AIDS on my legs when I walk
Sometimes
around.
you gotta pay extra for that.
yeah.
The fucking you live
And
in the fucking
flies,
desert.
Yeah, but the flies. We have flies where I'm
Scorpions.
from. The flies, and sure they bug, they buzz. The ones here they fly in your fucking eardrums and shit. They make
flies
you
in Reno
crazy.
die of
They'll
thirst.
follow you for 3 miles. The
It's,
flies
it's
here.
straight up Star Trek.
Yeah, the
fucking
flies-
Star Trek earwigs.
Yeah, it's like a. That's exactly
Like,
what the
come
flies.
on, man.
They buzz around your head, and then like more join in as
Is
you
this
go
the
on.
fucking
they
after
don't even
show
have
talking
any-
about bugs?
But they don't even have any
Sure.
reason to do it. Like the
That's
flies,
my point.
The mosquitoes
They're
I get.
motiveless.
The mosquitoes I fucking get. Right? It's a mating instinct. They need your blood to fucking shit
Yeah.
out eggs. Right? But the fucking flies are
know.
just like, I'm gonna bounce off your head. I'm bouncing
Exactly.
off your head. I'm
That's
bouncing
my
off your head. I'm
point.
bouncing off your head. And I'm like, go fuck yourself, asshole. What are you doing?
Exactly. That's my point. The flies here, they're motiveless.
Stop yelling.
They're sadistic. They just want to fuck with you. That's their sole goal. That's my point. They're sadistic.
Oh,
the
shit.
creatures here, they're sadistic. Where I'm from, they're not. They serve a cause or
Even
they
the fucking
don't.
libertarians here are sadistic. It's
Yes.
Fuck. Hey
Anyhow.
guys,
Stop yelling at
welcome.
me.
Yes, exactly. Welcome to the after show, Black Sheep Rising after show. And we ran out of time like we always do because it's only an hour and there's just so much fucking shit to talk about. We didn't talk about female Thor. Daryl, who the fuck is female Thor and why does it fucking mean
Her
anything to
name
us?
is Thor. It's
No.
not Lady Thor. It's not Thorina. It's not female Thor. It's motherfucking Thor.
It's Thor.
So it's
Thor's
mother of
fucking
Thor.
mothers, and it's a female lesbian.
It's a
Thor?
mother of Thor.
So how does this even work?
Thor's
because
mother?
Thor
Is
is
she-
like a dude. And this isn't just Marvel. This is just the Marvel universe. Thor has always been a dude. There have been female gods in the Germanic god pantheon, or however you look at that. Thor has always been a dude. So how does she get to be a girl in Marvel universe?
All right. So in Marvel Universe, the hammer that Thor carries has an inscription that says, "Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor." In other words, the hammer's bevy of mystical powers aren't the exclusive province of Thor, but rather can be wielded by anyone deemed worthy.
Or any asshole picks up a hammer.
So it's
no,
like
that specific hammer.
Yeah, that hammer.
Excalibur
It's like the ring.
Yes.
or the ring. Yeah, good point.
So the article here from comicbookresources.com says, but when Thor, son of Odin and current wielder of Mjorn, I'm not even sure how the fuck you pronounce the name of the...
Mjolnir, dude. You can't read?
The J is pronounced like a Y.
Oh, so it's like Swedish.
Mjolnir suddenly finds himself unworthy this October.
Schmeckerweisen.
A mysterious female character picks up the hammer in his stead. As announced recently, her adventure as the new Thor will be chronicled in a new volume of Thor, written by Thor, God of Thunder writer Jason Aaron, who also happens to be my second cousin.
Very curious. So he's not your bastard son.
No,
like, we keep hearing.
He is not. I don't know who says that.
You fucked a prostitute, you had a fucking child with her, and then it became the guy who wrote Thor female because he was attracted to feminism because he was damaged by his father not being around as a child.
So
Fuck the children.
This is
CBS News.
This is exactly what I heard, by the way.
CBS News.
Go ahead and spin it however you want.
All right, so I didn't know she was a hooker when I
CBR
first stuck my
News.
dick inside of her. I found that out later after she asked me for money. I just thought she was a slut.
That's sort of how dating tends to work.
So, all right. So,
CBS News.
CBR
asked him-
News. Do you not fucking see? Are you dyslexic?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Not as,
CBR News.
not as
Jason,
dyslexic I
the
am.
big news is that the volume of Thor launches in October and its protagonist is female. I understand you have to be wary of spoilers here, but what can you tell us about the new title character? Has Thor been transformed, or has another character received Thor's power? Let me tell you something. I don't give a fucking shit what Jason says. This is bullshit. This is fucking crap. This is, we need to empower women by giving them Thor's hammer. Go fucking fuck yourself. Thor is a man, right? We've had female gods throughout the ages, and you know what? They've sort of been vindictive twats and not been so good to people, right?
Right, but no, see, she's a superhero, not a god.
Ooh, so she's a higher class, a higher caliber of woman.
No, she's actually a lesser class of women. This is a misogynist film that they're saying that Thor is no longer a god because it's a woman. Now Thor is just a superhero because they hate women's.
This is not the Thor we knew transformed into a woman. This is a new character, someone else picking up the hammer.
Why don't you give herself a new fucking name?
I knew when I took over Thor that at some point I wanted to do a Beta Ray Bill style story.
Oh, the guy's name
About-
is Beta, no doubt. That just makes a lot of
Someone
sense now.
else wielding the hammer for a while. It took me a while to figure out what kind of story that would be and who the character should be.
And then I met this girl, and she said that she'd only fuck me if I was a feminist, so I made a female Thor.
Was it at band camp?
It was at band camp, and then she put a flute up her fucking pussy and quiffed. And then I was like, wow, that's like Thor's thunder.
Did you say quiff?
Yeah, I said quiff.
What the fuck does that mean?
You don't know quiff?
I know queef.
Quiff.
That's
Are you
how
French?
you fucking pronounce
Are you
queef.
French?
Pussy
Are you guys
Come on.
French?
That's how you pronounce
No.
queef in fucking Long Island.
He's from
France.
New York, man. That's how they say
Long
it.
He's
Quiff.
French. He's sophisticated. That's why he says it, because he's a little bitch. He talks all French-like.
I'm all, hey, look, the only thing I fucking hate more than fucking leftists is French people.
You sound French when you say it like that.
Well, French people are pretty much leftists, right? They're kind
Yes.
Of, it's kind of the
Then why you spin shit out like
You're
you're
like,
French?
the only thing I hate is the left more than a leftist. It's a leftist who speaks a language I don't fucking want to understand.
Yeah.
She's
Don't
not.
just fucking read the fucking article. Say something interesting about it.
Okay.
She's not She Thor or Lady Thor or Thorika. She is motherfucking Thor. Thor.
Wait,
Thor.
wait, her mother
That
is
looks bad in the
fucking
audacity
Thor.
thing.
Yeah, look at that, dude. That's horrible. At least it's not red or anything.
Don't do it again. They're going to change
Stop.
the channel.
You're gonna hurt G's ears.
No,
Go
look
do
at
it.
him. Look at him. Look
The
at
dog. Oh.
Oh, he just wants more
The
of it.
dog is present. Don't
All right,
say
that's just uncalled for.
that way in front of pets.
That's
talk
fucking
that way.
uncalled for.
It's a
All right, hey,
dogs are
we did
people,
skip.
too.
What did you learn?
Daryl's favorite fucking time of the evening is what did we learn this week?
Chris Cantwell, it's your first time on the show, which means you get to answer the question first. What did you learn this week?
I learned that Thor rhymes with whore, and that's why they made this stupid fucking movie.
It's not a movie, it's a comic book. Haha.
All right, well, even worse. Fucking comic books.
Jason Rapture.
I never know how to answer, so I don't learn shit because I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer it.
He's been over there pretending that's a thermos. It's a flashlight.
It's
That's why
a
he doesn't learn
thermos.
anything.
I learned
During the last 7 days, you have not learned jack shit.
No, I mean I'm sure I've learned stuff, but nothing I could recall.
Remember when I explained this to you? I said, of course I learn things every second of the day, but I just don't equate them to actually learning anything because they're not really, I don't know, if they're not light bulb moments, if the fucking light bulb doesn't go off, then it doesn't really count as learning anything.
Yes, it fucking does, you son of a bitch.
No, I mean, it doesn't, it's not meaningful. I want to fucking,
The question isn't what meaningful thing happened to you during the week.
I want to learn that the visit to the moon was all staged. Isn't the revival coming up pretty soon? I want to learn that was staged. Now that would be fucking something that I learned this
Dude,
week.
Michio Kaku
Yeah.
already addressed this. I don't know.
Yeah. Michio Kaku, yeah, that silly bastard.
Michio Kaku understands that buildings are mostly made of air, which is why 2 planes crash into 2 buildings and 3 buildings fall. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just totally, you know,
Yeah.
this has been figured out already, gentlemen.
I think that.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I learned that Thor has got a new girl persona, or she is not a persona. It's not a persona. It's an actual another character.
Another character has taken up the hammer.
It's a
and
girl.
has become Thor.
I've learned that, and I've also learned that Marvel is also introducing a black Captain, not Captain Planet, Captain
Fuck Captain Planet right in his fucking blowhole.
Captain America.
Oh, and there's a black Captain America now, right?
Yeah,
Is
that's I don't know if it's in this article, but I know that they haven't punched enough people out with this idea.
Look, you're equating black people with punching people out in flash mobs, and you're a racist. You're probably a homophobe, too. You hate black people, especially if they suck penises.
And I live in New England, and there's no black people here. And
I saw a black person in New Hampshire once, and I was like, can I get a picture?
Yeah, autograph. Thank you. No, it's
Like,
Leave
me the fuck alone, motherfucker.
The one fucking black guy that like we've actually like hung out with in New Hampshire robbed Kate.
it's like horrible. But it's funny. I mean, because
But like, watch. I want to just point this out, right? Because there's gonna be listen to the whispers, right? Because there's gonna be a bunch of people who call me a racist just for pointing that out.
yeah, I thought you were
Because I
going to
just
say
think
something.
that that's really funny, right? Because I mean, like, look, I've got. You know, well, you're not allowed to say that, right? You're not allowed to say, "Well, I have black friends," right? Because that just proves that you're a racist, right? But like, I just think that that's funny, right? Like, it's just this is gonna get me banned from the CAC for sure, right? So like, so is it funny to observe, right, based on this stereotype that the one black guy we've hung out with at the CAC robbed Kate? Is that racist to observe it, gentlemen?
More than one person has robbed her. Are you also going to include all the white guys that have?
Look, I know that white people are fucking scumbags. I'm not denying this. And just like I just thought that was funny because we talked about no black people being here, and the one that fucking hung out with us fucking robbed our friend.
Yeah.
So like, I understand that not all black people steal. I mean, like I get that, right? Like, should I have to say that? Like, that's the racist part, right? That's the racist part of this statement. When I'm like, not all black people steal, that's racist, right? Because I feel that I have to point that out as if the audience doesn't know that, right?
But the stats aren't adding up at the end of the day.
Well, the fun.
I'm not even stats, but like you can go into like all sorts of things of like, oh well, because they didn't have the economic opportunity previously, then you know that passes down through the generations, and they live in these neighborhoods, and there's the negative influence of the black culture and the Democratic Party and the rap music and whatnot. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, so it's not necessarily a result of race. I'm just observing this funny thing.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.
And I think it's funny. I do think it's funny.
Well, the funny
And people are
analysis.
like, well, you're a racist.
Well, the funny analysis that I make of it is just using the generic "we." We're so desperate for diversity. It's funny though, like as somebody of a minority, would be able to come here and get away with a lot just because it's kind of like we'll do anything, we'll suck you off. It's kind of like, yeah, we want some different.
I think a couple people actually did that for him.
Rapture is offering blowjobs to all
Diverse,
the
all those who are
Hispanic
diverse.
immigrants
But no, I mean,
flooding
hold on,
across the border right now. If they come to New Hampshire and
told
vote
me that he
libertarian.
was trolling the Craigslist postings one day of
Who, me? Me?
No, not you.
Oh.
The one black guy that we let into the community.
He's good with the fucking music and the sounds. I got to say that. I don't watch the show. I'm going to start now though because you're good. You're good with
the drops.
I like
the drops.
You've got talent with that.
I'm better. Well, there's some really good guys out there who do a good job, and
Like a
I
bug.
find that if there are more people who are doing good doing the talking, then I have more
I mean, anytime
more
I'll fucking
opportunity
occupy
to-
fucking an hour of your
More
time.
opportunity to look at this.
That is tricky. I can't imagine like talking on points and actually like being able to look up drops at the same time.
So when I didn't hear what his fucking article was, it's not because I wasn't listening. It's because I was, but I was only a third of my brain was actually listening to the conversation, and I was looking elsewhere.
But you should read the article, is what I'm saying. Like, you should read everything that I write because I'm very interesting. It's really sort of the point that I'm trying to make. Like, every one of you out there, like, this goes out on what, Channel 8 in New Hampshire?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, all of New Hampshire should be reading everything that I say because I'm that important.
He only says
Yeah.
that because he wants the 1.4 million hits on all of his stuff so that the ad revenue goes up.
Well, hello, Mr.
but that's what everyone wants.
What I want is to spread a message, and the way that I fund my spreading of the message is through advertising. I would love it if people were just so interested in my stuff that they'd be willing to pay a subscription fee, and that I could just be like, hey, I'm going to allow a little statism into my life and pursue intellectual property and don't put my stuff on the torrents, right? But
And making them YouTube hits, the money.
Well, that's the funny thing when people like accuse like yourself of like, oh, he's just trying to get. I'm like, isn't that what like everybody's trying to do? I mean, they're trying to bring these ideas to the masses as much as possible. They're trying to create.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do?
And like people, even activism, like I said, that creates controversy. I mean, that's what essentially you're trying to do. You're trying to spread it to as many people as possible. I mean, you
could come here and you can just fucking move here and get a job and just vote, and then that's it. You don't do anything after that.
Because
Or
voting has had like an enormously successful record of bringing liberty in our lifetimes.
yeah, exactly. I second that.
Or you can actually continue the conversation. Believe in the conversation before you come here. Come here and be like, you know what? I'm not gonna fucking just sit here and keep banging the walls and sitting on my armchair and fucking mousing away at all the shit that I had to put up with every day. I'm actually gonna fucking do a podcast, or I'm gonna have a conversation, or
do interesting
and push
shit.
buttons.
All right, hold on.
Make people interested in it. Let me tell you something. I have come here to spread liberty and fuck women, and I'm all out of women. So let's get this show on the road, folks.
All right,
Okay,
so
Mr. Fancy
Jason
Pants.
Rapture still has not answered the question, what have you learned, because he claims that he never learns anything.
No, I'm sure I do. It's one of those things that I have to think to acknowledge it. It would almost have to be a prep for me.
It's
unless
like what I have to learn is what I learned, and once I learn what I learned, then I'll
How
tell
do
you.
people like you don't know what you
that
learned?
the fucking question is coming up. We've done this show before. It's not like this is your first time on the show. You're
didn't
not
know.
Chris Cantwell.
He didn't know. I told him like 15 minutes before the show started.
The
to be on the
idea
show.
is not even to like.
What
come
did
up
I
with
learn this
something-
week? I really don't know.
But
Like
you're
I
not
don't
even
know.
supposed to come up with something you learned. Come up with a witty one-liner like I did. I didn't fucking learn anything. I'm
That's usually what I do.
drinking and chasing whores. I don't fucking learn anything. I'm just like, oh, there was a female whore. It rhymes with whore, and fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you do media, bro. You clickbait. You say interesting things so people listen.
No shit, motherfucker.
So I learned that apparently there's a Captain Canada.
Well, fuck a Captain Canada.
Yeah.
He's like, let me bring socialized medicine to America. And we saw that in the 2009 episode.
There's a Captain Canada that is a superhero, apparently.
Oh, really?
Let me fucking pull up a picture of him.
Pray,
While
enlighten us.
Homie over here fucking tries to think of some shit.
He's not trying to think
He's
of
not going to
anything.
try.
Fucking think of
I'll
some
try.
shit.
Speaking of captains, have you guys ever heard of Captain Capitalism?
No.
He's got a blog and he's kind of cool. So just Captain Capitalism. Shout out to Captain Capitalism.
What kind of capitalism are we talking about? We're talking about the kinds that
I'm talking about
certain individuals
capitalism.
hate on.
I'm talking about the kind of capitalism that makes Karl Marx roll over in his fucking grave. I'm talking about the kind of capitalism that makes Garrett Ian fucking plaster the walls of the CAC with anti-capitalist propaganda.
Wait, hold on now. Did he put that up, or was that you that put all that shit up? All
You
that,
did
all
not
that, all
put
that
anti-
I
Davi
didn't
Barker.
put it up.
Who put the Davi Barker stuff up?
The Davi stuff I put up. The Markets Not Capitalism handbooks were not put up by me.
Who put up Markets Not Capitalism?
stuff.
That was up before I ever arrived in Keene.
I'm told that was Garrett, and I don't know if it's true. I kind of suspect that it was Jason Talley, but somebody told me that it was Garrett. Jason Talley told me, like, there's a video. It's almost 2 hours long, I think, of me and Jason Talley discussing use of force, and he told me that he was agnostic on economic systems. And for me, I just thought that was so amazing because, I mean, the economics of liberty is such like an important part of this. Like, I've read Human Action, dude, and like I really think that if I maybe I'll start a Kickstarter to give people this book, and then they'll just throw it in their fireplace because they're fucking ignorant assholes. But like learning economics would be like number one in terms of like spreading liberty for me.
No, isn't that like the other base? You have the non-aggression principle, and then you have the non-coercion economics plan.
Right, like non-aggression is like, look, you're too stupid to understand economics, then can you just like not hit people, please?
Yeah.
And then like the economics is like, hey, wait a second, you actually have a fucking IQ higher than your fucking shoe size. Maybe you learned something. And I find left-wing anti-capitalist shit in New Hampshire, and I think it's fucking sick because
if you didn't go to this year's Pork Fest, but I mean, like a whole half of the fucking campsite is nothing but fucking goddamn hippies.
Yeah, look, and this is like, and the thing is, in libertarian circles, I mean, leftists can move about pretty freely because they'll just talk about like, hey man, legalize marijuana, and I don't really like violence and war, and we're like, oh wow, you must be one of us, come hang out with us, and then they're like, well, I don't believe in private property, and I'm like, well, maybe you should go fucking jump off a bridge, asshole, because I don't like you.
Yeah, the thing that I don't understand about the supposed left libertarians. And there is no private property. So does that mean that I don't have my own clothes?
No, so here's the thing. So, like, if you actually study it, I mean, like, left libertarian is a very broad term, right? So there are people who are just like, anti-proprietarian, whether they're like post-scarcity whack jobs like Will Moyer or something like that. But then there's left market anarchists, right? And this is a really important thing to understand because they blend in extraordinarily well with us, but they're usually the ones who are creating the majority of the trouble, right? So read like Center for a Stateless Society. I wrote a response to a woman named Anna Morgenstern, okay? And she writes an article titled Anarcho-Capitalism is Impossible. And she goes into this whole thing about how basically you have to understand it's not private property per se that they have a problem with, but it's the accumulation of capital that they have a problem with any sort of power accumulation whatsoever, right? It's not just the state, it's not violence, it's power accumulation. So like if you have a lot of money and you can get people
no electricity because that's power.
Depending on who you talk to, some of these people, they would be like, shut down the fucking power company and let's just all live in the woods. But other ones, would say like, hey, well, you can have a power company as long as it's like a horizontal workforce and nobody's really in charge of anybody, man. And like, this is nonsense, right? Like, you can even read, like, and this goes back really like to the 70s even. Like, you can read when Sam Konkin put out the New Libertarian Manifesto, all right? And this is where the term agorism comes into this community from. And this is part of the reason agorism is so popular here, is that Sam Konkin writes the New Libertarian Manifesto and says like, okay, the way that we're going to bring down the state is we're all going to be independent contractors, and that's going to avoid the tax code, and the state's going to collapse. Well, I can go into all of that and say, well, first of all, if agorism was going to end the state, then the war on drugs would have undone the state decades ago. But Rothbard replies to this article, to this manifesto that Konkin writes. And, Konkin was also the guy who coined the term left libertarian, by the way. And Rothbard replies to it and he says, well, you don't really understand economics too well because, of course, like you can't build automobiles as an independent contractor. You need a factory, you need, factory workers, you need waged laborers in order to do this. And, talking about how complex industrial societies are built from economic terms, and like this is something that left libertarians just don't seem to want to deal with, and that's why you get books like Markets Not Capitalism. That's why you get this woman Anna Morgenstern writing Anarcho-Capitalism is Impossible. She talks about like the accumulation of capital is going to be impossible because basically there'd be no such thing as a bank in anarchy because she views the banks as like a monopoly on currency. But of course, we might not see banks as we know them today as, distributors of fiat currency and stuff like that. But of course, financial institutions would exist. We see businesses forming around Bitcoin and all sorts of things, right? I mean, there's people with lots of gold in the world, and that's not thanks to the state. That's despite the state. But she thinks like, okay, so like it would become too expensive to protect property of absentee ownership, for example. But of course, she doesn't take into consideration the fact that, like, to protect your property in your absence, costs money too. I mean, you're paying property taxes. The more property you have, the more it costs to protect it. That if you're going to hire security services to do it, well, you have to pay them enough not to steal your property. The state obviously charges you a percentage of your income, and of course, property taxes are determined based on the value of your land and stuff like that. And this is what was included in my refutation of it. Left market anarchists, they blend in with us very well, but they have really sick fucking economic ideas, and it's really worth other libertarians figuring out. Most of the people watching this on Cheshire TV are like, well, you're all the fucking same, but there's so many differences. That's why we sort of ask you folks to like look at us as individuals, because there's a lot of differences between us too.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing that we get is like, who's going to build the roads? And
fuck roads. I want a helicopter, dude.
Yeah, I know exactly. But
you mean the roads that are already built that have potholes in them right now?
Yeah, but
who would build those?
That's a hard enough idea to try to get past, get out there. But when you have to worry about hippies funding your roads, it's just, you can't even explain that. I mean, where do you go with that?
Because the hippies don't understand economics, right? So I mean, they're just like, no, the roads will still be commons. No, the roads will be privately owned. I mean, roads are a valuable service. People want them. Presumably, they'd be happy to pay for them unless they could afford to buy a helicopter or a hovercraft or whatever. So like, but like, if you asked me who will build the roads and you asked Anna Morgenstern who will build the roads, we're going to give you completely different fucking answers,
If you ask Conan who will build the roads, you ask me who will build the roads, you ask you who will build the roads, and you ask Rapture who will build the roads, you'll get 5 different fucking answers.
Right, and those different answers, those uncertainties, they're called choices. And I'm not entirely so sure why statists get so upset about that. You can choose who builds your roads.
Because it has the word freedom in it.
Yeah,
or free state project. It's all the whole free
Fuck
word.
the free state project.
They see, that's what they're on right now. The haters, the Keene haters. That's one of their targets.
Hey, Keene haters, I'm on the same page as you. Fuck the Free State Project and fuck Free Keene Inc. Okay, I don't want to worry about these fucking corporations. All right, the fucking bottom line is there's a bunch of people here who are moving here because you still have a wonderful place to live, and the rest of the world is absolute shit. We're trying to help you not become New York and California. Believe me when I tell you, we're providing you with a valuable service with that. And you have people from Massachusetts flooding into your state who are trying to avoid the taxes that they voted for, and then they're voting for the taxes in your state. They're going to destroy this place. We're trying to help you. We don't want to take your guns. We don't want to take your money. They do. Join us.
Except the people who vote in this region and in New Hampshire in general are they're the ones who moved from fucking Massachusetts.
Well, of course, because people who don't have any interest in growing the government are like, fuck the government, I'm not voting for that.
Exactly.
And then there's a bunch of people who are like, oh, there's not many people voting here. I think I could take your guns. I mean, you just wait and see. I mean, look, you got in Keene, you've got the juggalos. I mean, I'm sure there's other criminals.
They're the male strippers of this area.
The heroin addicts.
Well, remember,
and what's going to happen is what you're going to run into is eventually these people are going to engage in some sort of fucking mass violence, and then they're going to fucking be like, hey, we got to ban the guns, and all the fucking massholes who moved into this place are going to be like, ban the guns, ban the guns, ban the guns, and all the people with their guns are going to be like, I live in New Hampshire, I don't have to worry about this. I'm going to stay home, and then they're going to pass the law. Yep. They're going to do it. They're going to take your fucking guns. And then what's going to happen is some free stater, and by free stater I mean someone in the Free State movement, not the Free State Project Inc., because fuck the Free State Project Inc. They're a bunch of, I believe to be Koch brothers funded pieces of shit who take themselves way too seriously and have nothing to do with my daily life. But the people who came here for freedom, we're going to be the ones who are resisting the tyranny that's levied against you. And if you decry us for doing that, you got no one else to blame but yourselves if you turn into New York.
Yeah, generally on a regular daily basis, I don't get a lot of flack from the people who live here in the community, except that small percentage of haters who, guess what? These are the type of people who love everything about government. The government can do no wrong in their book, and those are the kind of people in my book. I'm never going to win over. I am never going to convince these people that what they believe in is wrong, what I believe in is right. They will always fight me to the end, to the death.
Right, and you can smell the Boston on them from a mile away.
Yeah,
so
well, a
fuck
lot
these
of them,
assholes.
some of them happen to be natives, and that's the hardest part that you got to get past. But I mean, you know what? It's a small percentage. They're about the same, probably about the same size as the Freedom people who are in the state as well.
I'm willing to bet there's more than 1,000 massholes here. I'm willing to bet that massholes are moving here at a much greater rate
Yeah,
than
in the
libertarians.
last decade, 100,000 massholes have moved to New Hampshire.
So what does that tell you?
That's the largest.
What does that tell you about the Free State Project's goal of getting 20,000 moderates to move here within 5 years of 20,000 people saying that they're going to, at which point maybe 10% of them show up? Like, does this not tell you that the Free State Project is like fucking off and failing to accomplish its goals and will never do what it says it's going to do if it continues on the track that it's on?
Small fries compared to the massholes that move here. You never hear about that. On some, to be honest, to defend some of the radio programs in the morning, they have recognized the fact that, yes, a lot of Massachusetts residents do migrate here, and they bring their bad ways with them. But we're fucking 1,000, if that even, and we're only trying for 20,000 total. Sure. I mean, at the end of the day,
And the Free State Project has been at this for 13 fucking years, and they've gotten 1,500 people to move here. 400 or 500 have already left because they got here and they were like, "I've had it with your politically correct fucking shit." Get out of my hair.
There's no couch for me to sleep on. There's no
well,
job.
that too.
There's no job
people
for me.
here are irresponsible fucking liberals because they cater to fucking leftists, and then they fucking come here and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna move to my leftist paradise where I don't have to work for a fucking slave job anymore, and I'm gonna get away from wage slavery by moving to the Free State Project." Go fucking fuck yourself, asshole. You have to produce, and if you don't produce,
merchandising,
then you can fucking starve. And if you don't want to fucking starve in the failure of producing, then just call yourself a statist, because that's the only way you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Merchandising.
I love that fucking Spaceballs reference.
Yes.
You're a fucking genius.
Yeah, I was gonna go somewhere with that.
I can't find my. There it is.
Use the Schwartz Lone Star.
He's got the Spaceballs. He's got the Spaceballs reference handy. This guy's brilliant.
Did you see the article a couple days ago where some guy fear-mongering about the Free Staters says, just imagine in 10 years they're going to have 200 members of the State House?
Yeah.
I fucking hope so. I would love to have 200 Liberty people in the fucking State House.
I'd rather have 200 hardcore radicals in New Hampshire than 200 moderate pieces of shit like Seth Cohn in the State House.
Yeah, see, to me, it's about
right now.
It's about media. I mean, I really think that's what the. You could theorize, and the theory of it's 20,000 people coming here, and somehow, to me, just mathematically, that's not going to happen. But mathematically, what can happen, it's just about media and hopefully reaching outwards to as many people as possible and getting millions of people, not 20,000 people to one geographic area. And you just have to get enough people to stop believing in, the Easter Bunny, so to say. I guess, and that's the government. Unfortunately, the Easter Bunny.
There's no Easter Bunny?
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, though,
Who brought me my basket, you motherfucker?
Yeah, unfortunately, with the Easter Bunny, if you want to believe in
would
that,
explain the semen, the used condoms, and the roofies.
If you want to run around like a jackass searching for Easter eggs, that's on you. But unfortunately, other people can believe the government on your behalf. That's the only difference between the government and the Easter Bunny. It's this mythical entity that other people can believe on your behalf.
I just spilled.
But it is a mythical entity that people entrust in. And people get used to, I guess.
Wait, you spilled shit all over yourself?
I just did. Well, look, all I'm really ready to disclose now is that there's a bunch of liquid between my legs.
Fuck.
It's either beer or semen.
And it's,
but people get
fairly
used.
certain that it's all yellow.
But people get used to the system that's in place. Like, who would build the roads? I mean, it's just one of those things that people, what's in place, that's what they get used to, and that's what they can't.
Who Who
they
would
can't.
pick the cotton?
Oh yeah, imagine like I always
point.
bring up this example. Imagine if the government took over the automobile industry in the 20s.
But who would build the pyramids?
People would be like, how would we get to hospitals? How would we get to the store if it wasn't for government? You know, and it's because they took over the car industry. They took over the road industry. Roads existed before the fucking government. I mean, people actually created pavement before government. You know, I mean, it's just
Government bought
idiocracy.
pavement from people who created it, right? With money that they stole from the people who created it.
And it's really hard when you look at things
a lot of
today.
it- there are a lot
You're
of
looking
companies-
at, you're undoing these things that have been manufactured already and brought to this point. So when you're talking about like the roads, I mean, now people see it as like you snap your fingers and it goes away, and like now how would properties work and how would property work? And it's like, yeah, because things have been so fucked with already. Now you're at this point. Now
Who
people
would deliver the pizzas?
Yeah, they can't see beyond that. So when people talk about property rights and stuff, they can't see its inception and how it would work. They just see like you snap your fingers where government already controls this, and now this property is up for grabs. You know, it's not like societies, would just slowly migrate. Property would happen naturally. Now you have all this
Who
free
would
land.
build the war monuments? Without government. That's what I want to know. Without government, who would build the war monuments?
So it's like, who would get the
I would.
property? But
I'd
it's
build
like,
them
yeah.
in the shape of Jared Miller and Justin
Yeah,
Burke.
if we were going to replace, right, so if I was going to write up a communication for city council to replace the war monument, what would we replace it with?
A dick.
Nothing, or is it just something
with
that
a
we can?
for sale sign. Because the thing is, look, I'm sick of this idea of like, and this is what I feel is like the failure of keen activism largely, right? And I mean, I'm certain that somebody's pointed out, somewhere along the line, but I think that like, a lot of this stuff has gotten boiled down to freedom of speech. Let me break some news on live on, well, not live, we're taping, but let me just break some news here on Black Sheep Rising. I don't believe in free speech.
What's wrong with free speech, Cantwell?
Okay.
I believe
Porky.
in property. So, if I think the problem with the common, I think that when people are writing with chalk on the common, the problem is that it's a common.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that people with diametrically opposed interests are trying to share a piece of property, and the fact of the matter is that it's not common, right? It's not owned by all of us. It's actually owned by like a criminal organization that calls itself the government, and that what's happening is that people who don't have the same interests are trying to share a piece of property, and in no other circumstance would we consider that like appropriate, right? Like if I wanted to buy a house and I wanted to like turn it into a drug den whorehouse, right? And somebody else wanted to turn it into like a data center, right? Like it would be completely ridiculous for us to pitch in and buy this thing, right? It's completely obnoxious. Nobody would ever suggest that we do
Wait,
something
so
like
you
that.
and Z-Rad are buying a house together?
Well, I don't, if me and Z-Rad were buying a house together, I'd probably get down with the data center idea, actually. But yeah, I mean, blackjack and hookers, fuck it, right? but seriously, right? If somebody wants to
Cocaine
turn
and
it into a
hookers, my
data
friend.
center and somebody else wants to turn it into a drug den whorehouse, well, these people wouldn't go into an investment together, right? But the government says, hey, everybody, we're your pals. We're going to take a bunch of your money and buy some property. Or take some property and say, go fuck yourself, you can't use it, right? More accurately. And we're going to take your money to maintain this thing, and all of you people with completely different interests are all going to have access to it. And we're just going to pretend that there's not going to be a violent conflict in the middle of that, right? We're just going to pretend that somebody who wants to create a data center and somebody who wants to create a drug den whorehouse are not going to kill each other over this extraordinarily valuable piece of land.
I've got it. We need to remove the fountain and replace it with a ball pit.
A ball pit.
A ball pit, like in McDonald's, the ball pit.
Is that a?
That's a good idea. And
then if somebody gets pushed into it, there's no chance of them breaking their neck because it's all soft because of the balls.
Yeah, but who owns the ball pit, Daryl?
And then we need to replace the war monument with a bouncy house.
Well, don't worry about who owns it.
People should
Conan,
wear helmets.
Because the fact of the matter is what's not important is property. What's important is freedom to jump in a ball pit. Right.
Yeah.
And this is an extraordinary.
The city of
Every
the
city
of
should have a
Keene
ball pit.
Should jump
is
in balls.
denying me my right to jump in a ball pit.
In balls.
But this is what happens, right? So this becomes like, well,
And a bouncy house.
how do we deal with this problem of people tackling somebody into a fountain? And one person says, well, we're going to have to ban chalk. right? We're going to have to ban chalking. We're going to create a graffiti ordinance. Sorry, whiskey, gin, whatever it was I was drinking. We're going to create an ordinance, right? And not in terms of explosives, but some other damaging thing called an ordinance. And so we're going to create an ordinance that says you can't draw with chalk. And then somebody else might suggest, well, look, how about we just deal with this by turning the fountain into a ball pit so that when the next guy tackles somebody into it for chalking, he'll fall into a pit of soft balls instead of breaking vertebrae on the square. Because, that makes a lot more sense.
Stop your nonsense.
That makes a lot more sense than saying, like, hey, maybe we'll sell this fucking thing to Dory O'Mara if she wants it so goddamn badly. Yeah. Right? If Dory O'Mara wants Central Square, put a fucking price tag on it and sell it. God knows government has enough debts, right? Government has debts and government has assets. I say, sell that shit to the highest bidder and walk the fuck away from it and leave us to our business on our own goddamn property. And we can figure all of this shit out because you know what? We don't go chalking on private property. I have no problem with paying for parking. Liberty is not about free parking. Another failure of Keene activism. I'm sorry to fucking say. I'm glad that they've got a lot of attention from national media and stuff like that. But major failure. Liberty is not about free parking, ladies and gentlemen. Liberty is about property. So the problem with the parking meters is that they're on public property, that the government has monopolized all the roads and parking.
That's what I've always said, though.
In downtown Keene, and I wish that we would explain
I've
that
always
to
said
people
that.
more frequently. If the business owner owned this piece of property, I would be more than happy to put coins in her meter and to pay whatever she wanted for parking, if they had a service inside of said business that was worth paying for. When you create the common, when you create this public entity, everybody gets fucked because we have diametrically opposed interests, and that's not how property works.
Yeah, My main problem with metered parking is that you're trying to guess how long you're going to be using the service. I have never parked in a private lot to where I prepaid. Every private lot I have ever parked in, anywhere in the country, I have always taken a ticket, and then when I leave, I hand the ticket and I hand money to the person that is working there, and they charge me for the amount of time I was there. I have never been asked, how long do you think you're going to be in my lot? And then hand them money, and then if I'm 2 minutes late, they say, you now owe me $5 more.
Well, in New York City, they'll ask you how long you think you're going to be just for, where to park your car, right? I mean, this is the private lots, of course, and they have an interest in satisfying their customers. But, the craziest thing is, downtown Keene, for example, here's the worst example of it, the absolute worst example of it. I went to Rich Paul's court date, right? So the downtown Keene parking limit is 2 hours, right? If I could have put 6 hours on that fucking meter, I'd have done it. I went to go, my friend has been held hostage by you people, and I'm going to his court date to see if he's going to be released. And you keep me there for more than 2 hours. Well, I'm like, do I wait to see if my friend gets out of prison, or do I go put a nickel in a parking meter? And I get a $5 ticket, and I'm like, I don't mind, whatever. If the parking costed $5, I'd pay $5. Believe me, I'm from New York. I paid a lot more than $5 for parking.
It's the principle.
In a private lot. I've paid $30, $40, $50 fucking dollars to park my car for a couple hours. I'm more than happy to pay you $5 to park my car. But why are you going to threaten to steal my car and penalties and fines and interest and blah, 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 for me to go see if my friend can get out of your prison, for fuck's sake, please?
Well, yeah, it's the whole point. I mean, they've already taxed people or stolen this money from the people to pave these roads and stuff for this business, and they've obviously failed if they haven't kept up with the expansion of Keene, and this whole notion that somehow charging for parking spaces somehow creates more parking is just so irrational, logical. It's even fucking funny.
No, it's not. It's not irrational to say that charging for parking spaces creates more parking spaces.
Well, you're looking at. I mean, you're looking at the ultimate extreme of fucking New York. I mean, it doesn't create. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, people are
There's
2 hour
still
parking.
300 parking spaces. because I'm charging you to park your car doesn't then mean there's 301 parking.
Yeah, imagine what the marketplace would have done if there was actually industry in this area and business. These would have been provided, obviously, because they obviously want people to come to their facilities and their stores. These parking spaces would be provided, whether it's like some, upper fucking twirly fucking parking structure. But, they have a couple strips in this town. And even that, I mean, technically speaking, there's enough parking. The charge for parking doesn't eliminate the parking, especially when it's as cheap as it is. It's not like, oh, well, I'm not going to go to work today because, the parking structures. And, and the funny thing is that even where I'm from, a lot of businesses, as employees, you have different parking areas. Like, you can't park in these, because they don't want their business spots taken up by employees. So they tell their employees, park the fuck over here, and that's just what you sign up for as an employee. You don't park in these spaces. So, I mean, even now there's technically enough. I mean, once you get to pork or whatever, Pumpkin Fest and shit, I mean, these spaces fill up.
That's like the one day out of the year where people are parking at Walmart and walking all the way over, busing all the way over to Main Street.
Yeah.
It's like the one day out of the year. I mean, the population of Keene has actually dropped.
Sure.
So the parking shouldn't be as bad as it is, and fucking businesses are actually moving away from Main Street, like
Sure.
Colony Mill, and you got the Walmarts and the Targets and the Lowe's and all that. So what the fuck the problem? What's
and not to mention they're double dinging people. Like I said, they've already taxed people for these roads, and they've already taxed people under the notion that they would provide this for the people, and they fucking failed. It's time they turn it over to the marketplace because they can't fucking handle it. They, over all these years that they've controlled the parking here, they fucking failed. If they don't have enough parking spaces, all these years they've stolen money for it, and they don't have enough they're the ones to blame. You don't charge people for parking spaces.
And by the way, Chris, we do advocate on this program that no, we don't want to fix the problem. We want to relinquish those properties from the city and hand them over, either give them or sell them to the property owners and let them fucking take care of it. Just like I take care of my own driveway.
The problem that's created, the state creates the problem, right? Because say whatever the business is, okay, I won't name a specific business because I'm sure they don't want to be associated with me when it help their business any. But whatever the business is has bought a plot of land, right? And this land is zoned by the city, right? The city says, here is your plot of land, and don't worry about parking for your customers. We got it.
But they had to pay a parking tax to the city.
The business pays a parking tax and then they charge us for the meters, and then they give us a ticket on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
New York isn't even that fucked up. New York is like, hey, we're not giving you any fucking parking, but then again, we're gonna let this guy have a parking lot, and he's gonna charge people to park. They're gonna park a parking tax. Now, no, New York City does have a parking tax though, and it's terrible. It's like 19% of your parking bill is actually a tax paid to the city. You see it?
See, I mean,
19%.
That's a lot of money.
It's sick. I've gone. Seriously, you'll pay $50 to park in New York City just to go park your car in a garage for a few hours. It costs you $50.
See, at least when
19% of it goes to the city,
And the
city is
$15 a day was bad in San Antonio.
dude, the city, the city is like, all right, we're going to plot this environment, right, where we're going to have people stacked up on top of each other 20 stories high, and we're going to create nowhere for them to park their cars. But other people will do this as a business opportunity. They will take 19% of their revenues. It's fucking crazy.
Sure. I was gonna say, at least when Michael Jackson was molesting kids, at least they got a BMX out of the deal. I mean, the city's just fucking us in the ass, and they're not giving us shit.
Right.
It's
Give
just
me a fucking reach around.
Yeah, exactly. Give us something,
Please, wear a condom or lube up at least.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I mean, if you're a kid,
if you're not gonna stop, at least put on some lube and condoms.
Yeah.
please.
You sure? Go on. Okay.
Tickle my balls.
Yeah.
Touch my.
You guys
taint.
ready to wrap this up?
I've been ready to wrap this up for about 20 minutes.
I'm sure
You're
the
always
listeners
ready.
are.
You came in this room ready to wrap it up. We're gonna close on a little song
I thought we
from the
already had a
Rollins
closing
Band.
song.
No, that was the break song. That was the break song. I didn't know we were gonna have an after show.
And
I
now
didn't
we
know.
got more shitty music.
This
I
is
thought the
not
fucking
shitty
after
music. This
I
is
thought
not
the
fucking
after
shitty.
show was
Do you
going to be
even know
like
this
5
is?
minutes anyway.
Do you know who this is?
Yeah, he's an annoying bastard with shitty music.
He's a spoken word kind of guy. This is the Rollins. This is
Shitty
Henry
music.
Rollins.
Well, you might as well be listening to Nickelback. You're not cool.
We're not listening to Nickelback.
Never
Not
met
this
it
album.
as a wise man.
Never made it as a poor man.
Hey, I want to be a rock star.
All right, shut them guys out of your minds. It's time for Rollins
Oh, the
Band.
one dude from Nickelback is now married to like Christina Aguilera or some shit.
I'll fucking fuck all their daughters.
No. Who's the other bitch?
Dimebag, Daryl.
No, the chick
He's
that
dead.
back in like
Dimebag
the
and
90s had the album Skater Boys.
Avril
Lavigne is now married to Nickelback.
Who fucking cares? This
I
is
don't know,
Rollins
but I'd,
Band,
like,
Liar.
shove it in her
People at
ass.
home, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning into the after show. Chris, thanks for being on.
ChristopherCantwell.com.
Shazam.
Regulars, ChristopherCantwell.com.
And I've got a cartoon character and everything. It's amazing.
crazy.
Here's his picture right there on the wall.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I don't know if they ever got him, but yeah.
I was
Take care.
100 miles away.
Good night. Goodbye.
So you think you're gonna live your life alone, in darkness and seclusion? Yeah, I know. You've been out there and tried to mix with the animals, and it just left you full of humiliated confusion. But the feeling of loneliness never leaves you. It haunts you everywhere you go. And then you meet me, and your whole world changes. Because everything I say is everything you've ever wanted to hear. So you drop your defenses, and you drop all your fears. And you're so busy feeling good that you never question why things are going so well.
8 Weird Ways to Open a Bottle by Good Mythical Morning. 2,463,040.
I should have saved that for the air.
You got the white dot, Mike?
I've got the white dot mic, which makes it a racist microphone.
Oh, fucking Christ. You brought the goddamn racist sign
Wait,
here.
hold on. Tell me more about the OK Cupid
You,
pussy.
sir, are a racist.
Jason asked me if I had AIDS, and I said I had some OK Cupid pussy, and that's probably what's causing me to sneeze.
Because he's been sneezing like an asshole lately.
How close you talking?
I'm talking right about here.
Try and keep it up there.
I mean, I could speak a little bit closer if you'd like me to.
No. Just be wherever you're going to be and stay there.
Okay, so I'm speaking right here, and I'm, I don't know, maybe 2 inches away from my mouth, which is where the penis usually is.
Oh, okay.
This does air after 10 o'clock, right?
Yes.
No.
Okay, good.
Well, on Cheshire TV, we're not really sure when it airs on LRN.
9:59. Definitely 9:59.
All right, Rapture, what do you got
Oh,
for
and
me?
just so you know, your statement about the penis
Huh.
is probably
I got
going
it,
to
get
wind
it,
up
got
being
it
a
good.
sound drop.
So this is
On
me
LRN?
and the Hazel. Fishizzle my
somewhere
finizzle.
on,
What is
his
going on here?
board of- He's got 3 sound drop boards
yes,
over
this
here.
is my
Rapture.
sound drop board over
Just
here.
Sound drop?
Just Rapture.
Just Rapture.
Oh, I got a new Rapture drop.
Yes.
Where you at?
Oh.
Allegedly.
Oh, so
You could be Gandhi for Christ's sakes, and you're going to be punching motherfuckers in the head in 6 months after becoming a cop. I'm sorry.
do you remember that?
Well, Gandhi be punching motherfuckers in the head.
Oh, fuck.
Gandhi would be raping fucking chickens.
Okay,
Pimp
so...
down. Pimp down.
Hold on, let me turn this VMix on.
Let me take a piss before we start.
Yo, yeah, we got time. We got time.
Let me turn your sister on.
Oh. You talking about Rapture's sister?
Rapture does have a really fucking hot